Hey Brittany, yeah, sorry about your file. I would save as versions. I mean, that's how I do everything because I usually change my mind too. So yeah, this is our first Photoshop feedback. So the first thing I do is I kind of look to see if it's the right size. Yeah, see, it needs to be 8 by 10, so you might want to correct that as well. Yeah, it's all about adhering to client specs and so on, so be sure to correct that to 8 by 10. And we're not going to really look at the background, so what I'm going to do is add a layer and just fill it with white, because then I can really see your masks. Okay, so yeah, so let's look at some of the masks. That's the next thing I really kind of look at. So what I do is I zoom in, and again, they don't have to be perfect this week because it's just the first week. So they all look pretty good. I mean, these are a little rough here. You could probably clean those up. You can use that polygonal lasso tool as well. But overall, they look good. I mean, you have a lot of experience with them now since you lost your file, the first one. So just a few little tips, because next week we're going to be doing backgrounds and also more with the text. So I like to select all the layers, and then I click on this folder icon, and then it puts them in one folder, so then I can make them smaller or larger. You're probably going to have to make them a little bit smaller because you're going to have a background. So I just do the free transform and hold down the shift key, and I'll just make them a little bit smaller. And again, you can move it and stuff all together. That's what putting it in that folder. So just a few suggestions right off the top. Since this side is kind of the side that's closer based on the way that you have this set up, I would make these parts a little bit bigger, because then it's going to have more perspective. So let's see. So where it's always hard to find caret. So I move these because what I like to do is to be able, I mean, and some people put folders within folders. So if I select all of these, then I can scale it up a little bit, and I just use the free transform tool. And then I just hold the shift key down so it constrains. And again, I'm just kind of playing around with this at this stage. It's not like, nothing is like etched in stone here. And maybe this one should be a little bit, this could be smaller, but this one, as long as this side's bigger, that's kind of the idea. And you can also, think about rotating it too, if it would work. Again, there's just so many things you can do with Photoshop. And now he looks kind of like he's running. Anyway, so just some kind of little design choices that, we have all term for that. By the same token, this sausage here, this one looks bigger. So maybe, just make some relative scale adjustments. If you want it to look like it has depth, which is usually a good thing, because, where's the other one then? Because, the rules of perspective say things in the background are smaller. So again, just kind of playing around with this. I love this caricature, by the way. It's so super cool. So again, with the head, you might need to, you can make the whole thing bigger. A lot of the details are really kind of getting lost because there's so much going on with it. So, the pickles really aren't really that noticeable right now. I wonder if you made the whole thing bigger, I don't know. I'm not quite sure how that would look, but you could try it. So I just put the whole head in its own group so I could play around with it more. I'm just wondering what it would look like bigger. Obviously you don't have to take a lot of these suggestions, but my goal is to try to get kind of a stronger, a strong portfolio piece. So, I mean, if it's bigger, it does allow some of these to stand out a little bit more. So you know, just something to think about. We're going to be doing other adjustments too, you know, like, you know, different kinds of adjustments as well. And I'll show you how to do a perspective transformation if you want, and that'll make this side look a little bit smaller. So going forward, what we're going to do next week is the background, and also we're going to work with the text. So I would go to dafont.com and start to look at different types of fonts that you think would complement. You know, there's so many free fonts on here. You know, you can look at all different ones. You know, Groovy just really focus on legibility. You don't want it to, I mean, this is not legible. You never want the text not to be readable because there's no reason to have text, right? I don't know, there's just so many of them. It's just, I don't know, there's tons. I mean, this is kind of fancy, but it's somewhat readable. Again, 28 pages of these. You know, just so many different ones, 33 pages. Some of the calligraphy ones are cool too, 24 pages. But again, like, this is hard to read. You don't want to, you know, you don't really want to get it to the point where it's not, you know, not legible. And some of the sans serif ones are excellent too. They're just a little different. So I would suggest, you know, looking for, you know, a font that fits this. Another thing is the background. So the main issue that happens, you know, 80% of the time is the backgrounds don't have enough negative space. They're too complicated and too cluttered that the caricature doesn't even stand out, or the text. So think of negative space when you think of the caricature. You have to think of something appropriate. Again, she really dimmed this. If this was at full, you know, with the blend mode not on it, it really would be too bright. She left the negative space to put the text in. Again, this is already the text is really kind of ruins it. But when he had this up, this is just too much going on, right? And again, same here. If this was up at full saturation, it dominated. So again, the background needs to just really be something that allows the caricature and the text to stand out. So this is what I was saying about the sizes with the stuff, the big ones in the front. This is, yeah, that one's too much. Again, you know, since it's such a small pattern, it still allows everything else to stand out. Yeah, a little bit too many styles on that one. So again, just focus on legibility. So really for this week, you know, other than, you know, the image size, I think that, you know, I think everything looks good for this week. I don't know. Be sure to cite your citations if they're not cited. But yeah, just get the document the right size, and you know, you're good to go for this week. And the other stuff is next. More of the text and background is next week. And your masks look good. That's, you know, that's another thing that you have. I mean, there's some little rough edges, but you know, again, it's you know, overall looks pretty good. Okay, and this is such a fun one. You know, just a really cool caricature. Okay.